Yes, we are live. Finally. Welcome,
Finally,
Jason.
with some technical issues.
So last week we tried at Friday to get you online, but it doesn't work. And now we are here. Today we have two advent calendar items that popped up and go open. So really nice to have you today. And really interesting because you're going to talk about build a beer prompt journey. So I'm really curious about that. But first of all, where are you from, Jason? Can you share a little bit where you are from, which side of the world?
Yeah, sure. So thank you so much for having me on today's webinar. It's going to be amazing. We're going to be speaking about building a bear with image prompts, really. And I'm from South Africa, so the sunny city of Johannesburg at this point.
How
And
warm is
just last night, in fact, we were at one of the shopping malls called Melrose Arch,
it?
and they
Mm-hmm.
have like an amazing festive season Christmas lights kind of show. So this fits
Awesome.
in just with the theme of like beginning of the festive season in South Africa and holidays in South Africa. So welcome everyone to the stream. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Great. I will put you on stage. Thank you so much already, and see you later.
Thanks, Femke. Perfect. So like I built out this journey a few months ago, and we're going to have quite a bit of fun going through this. But, you can think about this from any type of image. So, think about this from not only just a bear, but maybe like an advert that you're building, or maybe you're building a product and you want like a digital twin of that product. So these are going to be quite fun, and we'll see how we can kind of go through progressive refinements. But I also want you to think about this for like all images, all videos. What can you do with these types of prompts when you start to build a bear using this type of prompt journey? So the goal is to co-create a signature teddy bear today through like progressive prompt refinements. And the guardrails are like use any original assets that you want to upload. You're welcome to follow along. There'll be more than enough time for you to follow along. And avoid like living artist imitation. So we want to be really respectful. We want our prompts to be respectful and also brand safe. So if there are any teddy bear brands, let's try and avoid using those brand names in our prompts. So previously, almost a year ago, this is what was already possible with the right prompts. And so I generated like three different types of bears here, all varied types of accessories. We have just a plain bear. We have one in like a really fancy kind of suit, maybe something closer to like the medieval ages. And then we have like a completely retro bear in a tuxedo with a cool pin-on badge. And all of them have different background scenes as well. So it's not just what we put in the front, it's also what we put in the back. And so you'll start to think almost like a painter or a photographer into how you want your bear to look and feel like. So, why is image prompting important? Well, firstly, it unlocks creativity. We can transform our ideas into visuals instantly. You don't need a huge amount of design skills to kind of do this democratized image prompting. And it accelerates prototyping quite quickly. So you can kind of rapidly come up with these concepts. It could be products, it could be brand campaigns, and you can enhance your communication with different language barriers. So you can also generate text in different types of languages, and you can personalize the images at scale. So you don't have to generate like one image, you can generate hundreds of images for different types of campaigns, different learning styles, different customer engagements. And this can empower people that are non designers. Of course, our designers still have a place in this world and they can craft much more professional quality images. But I wanted to give you a sense that like this is really important for multiple reasons. It can also transform different. So we're starting to see more market visuals come out. We have different targeted images. You would have seen a few campaigns already. In fact, even movies that are using generative AI. to bridge the gaps in these visuals that we're creating. And we have a concept called digital twins, which is where product designers visualize and refine their concept swiftly, quite digitally, before creating a physical product. So this is also quite a nice aspect there. And then we can have really cool business presentations as well that have a lot more images. It can be more engaging, and we can clarify our concepts quite nicely. So how is image prompting different from regular prompting? So prompting is our instruction that we give to AI. And typically we include like the goal, the context, the source, the expectation, or like maybe tailored roles about how we want our text-based response or visual type response to come back. We focus a lot on the output, like text, summaries, answers, Q&A. But this output is completely different, right? We're now going into a visual arts kind of world. So the outputs are really images, illustrations, or visual edits to the actual image, as opposed to text code, summaries, and answers. When we look at our prompt ingredients, they also start to differ. So we have facts, instructions, and questions typically going into our generative AI products. And here we're looking at like, what is the subject? What is the style? What is the lighting? What is the composition? And we have different types of language that we almost use as well. So we use more descriptive, more sensory, more artistic type language, and we can iterate a lot faster in this image and visual style than what we would in typically a prompt flow. Types of controls as well, in just text-based formats, you've got tone, length, and format, whereas in this, you're really thinking about like, what is the art style? What is the mood? What is the camera that you're using? And all of this has an effect on what image gets generated. And the evaluation is often like visual appeal. So we want to check if it fits our brand, if it's got the right colors, and if it's a very creative type of prompt. So here we're seeing M365 Copilot create, and we're starting with just a base prompt of create a teddy bear. You can do this now. You can start by going to m365copilot.com, and then you can go to create, and you can actually go and say create an image, and you can choose a very simple prompt that just says create an image of a teddy bear. Also on screen here, you'll see a couple of buttons. So we've got the different types of style, where here I'm choosing photorealistic as the style. And you've got brand and color, and you've also got the size. So whether you want like an Instagram's type aspect ratio, a wide aspect ratio, or a portrait type of aspect ratio. Tip here is the more specific your description, the better Copilot can generate the images. Include details like the bear's appearance, the mood, and the setting if you desire to do so. So let's have a look at our bear kind of generating out here. So we've gone ahead and just clipped this because it would take a really long time if we all had to do this live. But here we've actually got that prompt running, and it generated just a base bear. There's no background, there's no setting, there's no mood. And instinctively, the AI knew to put a brown bow on there, but we could do a bit more than this, I reckon. So let's add some customization layers step by step. So you can think of like, what are the accessories or details that you want to give? Is it some glasses? Is it a badge? Is it the outfit that they're wearing? Is it the shoes that they're wearing? And you're simply going to tack on these different types of prompts into the prompt box. So you can also do this in the transform box as you go. I'm also including some details around like pose and clothing, the outfit, and I've got different variations here just for some ideas for you. So we can put this into our transform with AI box after generating the image, and we can start to add in those characteristics. For the video here, what I've done is I've just said add a bow tie to the teddy bear in the color red. You could also go more specific and use like your color hex codes or the RGB codes, even add an image as a reference if you wanted to transform it with AI. Just going down this menu on the right-hand side in Copilot Create. So Copilot allows you to transform something with AI. You can edit, you can apply different styles, you can set up your brand, you can add text layer elements, and you can do so much more. So here we're just using the transform option to add a few bits and pieces. Let's take this a bit more further and add like quite a few simultaneous transformations at the same time. So here I've updated the prompt in the transforms with AI, and I've added in, like 3 or 4 different aspects. Your bear might still be loading at this point, but that's okay. You can just follow along as we go and pin a badge onto our bear. And we're also starting to change the aspect to say that like the body shot should include the full body shot here. So you can see here we've got the full body shot of the bear. So this is how my prompting has changed, right? So in the beginning, the first prompt I showed was like create an image of a teddy bear. The second part was maybe like create a full body image of a teddy bear wearing a red bow tie or a green bow tie and traditional glasses, and a blazer. And then like a hyper detailed prompt would be something like create a full body photorealistic image of a teddy bear with soft textured fur. And here you can start to see like the visual elements coming through on the prompt. Place the bear walking confidently down a lively Johannesburg street during golden hour with warm lighting, a shallow depth of field, and a subtle motion blur in the background. Use a 35mm lens with a perspective, a rich warm color palette, and ensure all the textiles and reflections show fine and realistic textures. So you're really diving into that visual arts kind of aspect. So here we're doing it again. We're starting again from the beginning, and we're going to go and create this image using that hyper realistic prompts. So here it gets to work for us. And you can see this is what it would have taken a few seconds to do that. And so these are the prompts. I've put them side by side for you here, but you've really got like 3 different types of visuals coming through. And the one on the right is the hyper realistic prompts that I came up with. So you can see the first prompt runs pretty quickly. The second one takes a slightly bit longer. And the third one comes out almost like a movie. You could think of this teddy bear character walking down the Johannesburg streets in the CBD. We've got that like almost photorealistic photo capture. We've got our warm lighting in the background, and we can create a really impressive image coming through. So how are your bears looking like? Put some comments in the LinkedIn chat for us. We'd love to hear how your bears are coming out. Right. So what other types of images can we create? Well, Copilot capabilities really responds to all different types of prompting best practices, right? So it can respond to text, images, audio, and some video today. The video aspects are getting better with the announcement of Sora 2 coming to Copilot early next year. But we can really start to extract details from images as well. So if you see a really nice image and you want to kind of think like that photographer, you can ask Copilot to extract the prompt from this image, and it'll give you some idea of how it was constructed. So here we're going to look at just an overview of all the different types of images and content that we can create. So we can see along the top of the menu, we've got create an image, create a video, design an infographic, banners, documents. And like if you look at the bottom here, it's also got some really nice examples of what types of images. And it's got the prompts. If you hover over it, it's kind of got like a prompt. And it can also do sort of infographics, which are quite cool. So we've seen some really great like legal teams take legal updates and create an infographic that uses simpler language. We can see some like posters coming through here where you're celebrating a type of event, announcing a product launch, and you can see and start with that prompt, which is quite cool. So there's a lot of different types of images that you can create. It doesn't have to just be an image of a teddy bear. I wanted to add a little bit more to this. So like when we start to think like an artist, we really want to choose one of the following styles. So in the examples I used photorealistic, that seems to be the closest to real, but you could also do other types of art. So you could do cartoonish, you could do illustrations like line art, watercolor. You could do impressionistic, like what I've done here with this bear, and you could also do minimalistic or vintage or even pop art. Pop art is quite a cool effect if you're generating types of images as well. So think about like not only generating those different types of images, but like applying different styles to those images. So if it's an infographic, you could do an infographic in the style of like a treasure map or something quite exciting. So it doesn't only have to be like pure text or only hyper realistic. You can do all these different types of aspects. One of the things that you would have seen in the last prompt was using something called the composition triangle framework. This is actually a photography and art framework. There are many different ones, some of them called in the golden triangle. Some of it you have like the grid layout in your optic as you're taking through the photo. But really you want to think about what is in the foreground, what is the subject that you're describing, and what is the background. And I've really simplified it here where you can like describe the setting, the environment, the lighting, or the mood. And adding these elements into your prompt will make it so much more detailed than if we had to do this from scratch. I've just taken this from Wikipedia, but an example of a prompt could be like, a sharp pavement texture, warm lights leading into the frame, a subject of the teddy bear wearing a green bow tie, and a softly bird Johannesburg street in golden hour. Like those are some of the elements that we saw in the previous prompt. What I've also started to do in my own like art director kind of method is to think about generating different types of image prompts, or to have an agent that could help you generate these types of image prompts. So if you think about this, you could have, Copilot or an agent helping you, take those best practices from digital media, from a photographer or an art director, and optimize your prompts using visual arts best practices. So here, what I've done is we've taken one of those prompts and we've given it that role of that art director, and we've pasted in our initial prompt, and it's going to transform that prompt into something a whole lot more detailed. So here we can start to see that like enterprise grade or art director grade type prompts. And you could think about doing this for all the different types of prompts that you do. Maybe it's a like an infographic prompt or anything like that. And so I wanted to show the difference. So here I'm generating that teddy bear using that prompt, and we can kind of see that the angles are a lot different. Like the teddy bear's looking, it almost draws your eyes to this corner over here, like almost the corner of the back of the streets. So the whole body positioning is different. The subject is still in the center, and so we could also move that around. So here I'm now actually going into the edit piece here, and I'm selecting like the teddy bear, and I could almost move that teddy bear around. So it's quite nice where you can also transform the images. You don't only have to think about like prompting your way there. You can also make minor edits after the fact as well, with almost no like Photoshop experience, right? This is like almost very similar to what you have on your cell phone these days, where you can select things, you can erase objects from the background and generate new objects straight from Copilot, which is pretty cool. So here it's now selected the teddy bear, and I can pretty much move this or resize it and place it on a different angle. And Copilot will then just fill in the background, which is quite cool. So you can do quite a lot of edits and transformations. And just look down the side menu there where you've got image editing for the background. You can do object transformation, you can do enhancements, and there's a whole bunch of different settings, including filters from a familiar type of Instagram type style. And that's it, team. Short and sweet, 20 minutes. You get to build a whole bunch of bears, and you can play around with all different types of prompting. But it's really exciting in the fact that you can take something really basic and you can build out almost anything. So you can build, a product, a digital twin, an infographic, a diagram. Like you can do so many different types of image prompts. And that's how I've learned to do some image prompts. Probably next year, I'll have a way more advanced version of this, or probably a full agentic workflow that does this all for me. But those are the basics and how I think about starting. So, yeah, Femke, were there any questions on the LinkedIn Live?
No, not any questions, but I really liked your session. It was so good in the different kind of ways you share your experience how to build like a teddy bear, and I really like the prompting stuff because like the easy way what the results are, but when you put it more in details, like what you really want to achieve, that the results are much better. And I needed to think about as well, like what is the next step? Is that of course the agentic place that it's going to create for you, or is it like the movie stuff so that you have like more that can walk around and a teddy bear can jump and that kind of thing? So I think a lot of things will happen in the future with all this kind of technology, and there are so many things in it as well on the create side of changing the design that you already have, instead of actually all the time asking Copilot to create a new one because you want something different. So I've learned a lot, so thank you so much for that. And I will share my beer as well in the comments soon. Need to tweak it as well.
Yeah, thank you so
Thanks.
much. Like, yeah, like I think I could still also learn from everyone, right? Like, there's so many different ways of doing AI art. And so if you have an idea, put it in the chat for us. We also want to learn from you. So thank you, Femke, for arranging this amazing webinar. And with
Thanks for
that,
doing
I'll sign off and give you all some time back to go spend with your families.
it.
Thank you so
Merry
much.
Christmas. Bye bye.
Thank you.